Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm taking on a massive challenge that combines two of my favorite things, Berserk and nearly impossible to look good drawing constraints. We're drawing this iconic panel of Guts in the Berserker Armor from chapter 315. Look at this masterpiece. The detail, the shading, the atmosphere. The context around this panel makes it even better. Guts puts on the Berserker Armor, does some Olympic level gymnastics, and destroys some pirate-like creatures on a ship. What's better than that? Kentaro Miura was truly one of the greatest manga artists of all time, and today I'm going to attempt to recreate this, with some serious constraints. Here are the rules for today's challenge. 1. I'm allowed to set up guidelines first to help with proportions. 2. I can lift my hand after completing the pencil work to switch to marker. 3. I can finish by adding gray tones for shading. So, in summary, here's the crazy part. During each phase of me drawing, I cannot lift my pen or pencil from the page. That means one continuous line for the entire sketch phase, one continuous line for all the inking phase. And then I'm allowed to add careful shading in the end, just with a little grey tone marker. So I've got my reference image, my pencil, which is a HB for the initial sketch, my black marker for the main line work, and one grey tone for the final touches. Let's see if I can do this without completely destroying this iconic Berserk panel. First, I'm setting up some basic guidelines to help with proportions. This is crucial because once I start the actual challenge, there's no room for major corrections. I'm just creating a simple grid to help me maintain the basic shapes. The Berserker Armor has such a distinctive silhouette. The pointed helmet, the cape flowing like it's alive, the massive Dragon Slayer sword. Getting these elements in the right position is going to be key. So notice how I'm keeping these guidelines very light. I'm using a 4H pencil. They're just there to help me navigate the page once I really start the challenge. Alright, guidelines are done. Now comes the real challenge. Remember, from this point forward, I cannot lift my pencil until the entire pencil sketch is complete. Let's get into it. Starting with the legs, since it's the closest to the border, I need to plan my path carefully here, because I can't lift the pencil to move to another section. I'm trying to capture that menacing feel of the Berserker Armor, the way it seems almost alive, like it's consuming guts from the inside. The challenge is figuring out how to move from one element to the other without lifting the pencil. One problem I didn't think about till my pencil was already down was the fact that the lead could run out and get extremely hard to draw with. Especially as I was pressing down quite hard to get some shading aspects, and I couldn't lift my pencil to sharpen it. Transitioning to elements that were further away was a bit challenging, so I did in moments have to make almost scribble-like marks to get there. The armor has all these intricate plates and segments. I'm simplifying some of the details, but trying to maintain that distinctive Berserker Armor look. The continuous line work creates an interesting effect, reminding me almost like the chaotic energy of the armor itself. Kentaro Miura's art technique in Berserk stands out as one of the most remarkable achievements in manga history, defined by an almost obsessive attention to detail that few artists have ever matched. His distinctive approach combined Western medieval aesthetics with Japanese manga, creating a uniquely dark and textured visual language. Miura's cross-hatching technique was particularly extraordinary. He would build depth and shadow through the thousands of meticulous place lines, sometimes spending days on a single page. This dedication created an unparalleled sense of weight and dimension, particularly evident in the Berserker Armor's design, where each plate and segment feels physically present on the page. And the pencil phase is done. I can finally lift my hand. I gotta say, after a little bit, your hand starts to cramp and feel a bit sore, so I was definitely not looking forward to using the pen now. Let me show you what we got so far. Not so bad for a continuous line. You can definitely tell it's guts in the Berserker Armor. Anyway, now let's move on to the marker phase. Now I'm switching to the black marker. Once I put this marker down, I can't lift until I've completed the whole inking. I can't use a G pen, which is a dip pen, because the ink will run out after one line. So I had to use just a basic outliner pen. I'm using a 0.8. I picked this marker because it will allow me to get thin lines while outlining, but also allow me to block in a lot of the darker shadow with no restraints. I'm starting with the outline of the helmet. The marker gives much more definition and really makes the drawing pop. The challenge here is being confident with my lines, since there is no erasing with the marker. I'm using varying pressing pressure to create different line weights, heavier for the outlines and major details, lighter for the textures and smaller elements. One thing I was very worried about was the marker running out of ink on me. I had been using this one for a few months, so I was stressed. My plan was to get as much of the outline done as possible, so if the marker did die, at least I had something to show for it, as I couldn't go and then swap markers. The cape was tricky, because in the original, it's this massive chaotic flowing darkness. I'm just using quick back and forth motions while keeping the marker on the page to create that texture. The armor plates have all these reflective surfaces and hard edges. I'm trying to capture that metallic quality with stronger and more deliberate lines. Almost done with the marker phase. This continuous line approach creates a really interesting effect. Almost like the armor is connected by this single unbroken energy. What truly set Miura apart was his masterful balance between hyper-detailed focal points and strategic negative space, as you can see from the panel we're drawing today. Unlike many detailed artists who fill every inch of the page, Miura understood the power of contrast, creating breathtaking, intricately rendered centerpieces that stood against carefully composed backgrounds. His understanding of light and shadow transcended typical manga conventions, achieving an insane effect, in what I believe to be reminiscent of Renaissance art. This technique is particularly evident in how he rendered the Berserker Armor, using deep blacks and intricate line work to create a sense that the armor was simultaneously solid metal and living. Miura's legacy lives on as perhaps the greatest technical pen and ink artist in manga history. And that's the marker phase complete. Now I can finally lift my hand and take a look at our progress. My hand at this point is aching, as this has basically been 2 hours of non-stop pressure. You can clearly see guts in the Berserker Armor now. It is a little bit muddy, and I didn't fully get all the inking done I would like, and I think I added too much ink in some places. It's to be expected, I guess. For our final phase, I can finally take my hand on and off the page. I'm just going to add some small grey tones to make it pop a little bit. For this final phase, I'll just be using this grey alcohol marker I bought at Officeworks to add depth and dimension. I'm starting with the darkest areas, the inside of the cape, the shadows under the armor plates, the grey tones really help the figure pop off the page. The Berserker Armor has this incredible contrast between light and shadow in the original. I'm trying to capture some of that dramatic lighting with these grey tones. Although I'm not using white out in the end, my plan was just to use the white of the page and work around that. I'm using solid fills to create different textures. The armor should feel hard and metallic, while the cape has this flowing, almost like smoke quality. So I'm adding these final touches to bring out the three-dimensionality of the figure. The grey really helped me emphasize the form and makes the whole drawing feel more complete. And done. The challenge is complete. Let's take a look at our final drawing of Guts in the Berserker Armor. So here's my continuous line drawing challenge result next to the original panel from chapter 315. Obviously, Kentaro Miura was a master beyond compare. I'm happy with the challenge, and I actually think it captured some of the essence of this iconic panel. Leave in the comments what you think about the final result. The continuous line approach was incredibly challenging, especially around the armor plates, but it's definitely interesting. I think it created this energetic quality that actually works well for a piece like this, it representing the chaotic nature of the Berserk armor and all. Alright, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this challenge, let me know in the comments what other manga panels you'd like to see me attempt with this style of art, or I'm going to be doing other challenge content on the channel too. If you liked the video, give it a like, and please subscribe if you haven't already. I'm a small channel and I'd love to reach 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year. That would be amazing, and that's my biggest goal at the moment. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, see ya.